Who takes the crown? The king of max cushion, the Gel Nimbus 27, or the new kid on the block, the Topo Atmos 2. What's up everybody, I'm Eric McIntyre, aka Rad Dad Bod, and you're watching Rad Dad Bod TV, where we review running shoes. If it's your first time watching one of my videos, you may notice some timestamps below. Feel free to jump around to the various parts of this video, but if you do so, I'd sure appreciate if you come back, watch the full thing when you get a sec, as I put a lot of time and effort into these videos. Now, disclaimers and disclosures, I did receive both of these shoes from their respective brands for the purpose of review. That being said, I'm not paid, I'm not given talk tracks, no one watches the videos beforehand, and all thoughts are entirely my own. With that out of the way, let's talk about the intended use of these two shoes. Now, the Gel Nimbus and the Atmos 2, these are going to be your max cushion recovery day shoes, right? You can use them as daily trainers if you want, but for the most part, they're meant to help you with recovery. They're meant to be kind of your easiest shoe, most cushioned shoe in your rotation for those days where your legs are extra beat up. As such, that's how we're going to be discussing them today. Now, price-wise, both shoes come in at $165, so really good comparison there because you're going to get, in theory, equal value out of these shoes. I do expect potentially both models, assuming both models are coming out with a new one. The 27 released end of last year. The Atmos 2 is just releasing, I think, this next month. And so it is possible that the Gel Nimbus goes up $5. We're just seeing that. So it could be that the Atmos ends up being cheaper, but we'll see. And from a specs perspective, the shoes are pretty close. So the Gel Nimbus comes in at 10.7 ounces, which is 306 grams, and the Atmos comes in at 9.9 ounces, which is 280 grams. As far as stack height, the Nimbus has 43.5 in the heel, 35.5 in the forefoot for an 8mm drop, and the Atmos has 40 in the heel, 35 in the forefoot for a 5mm drop. So about the same amount in the forefoot, but a little bit more in the heel of the Nimbus with a more aggressive drop. From a fit perspective, both fit true to size lengthwise. The Atmos is going to have a wider overall toe box. You have kind of the anatomical foot shape there. Still kind of a wide-ish toe box, but not quite as wide on the Atmos, or on the Nimbus compared to the Atmos. From a midfoot perspective, actually, and then a heel, I would say both have kind of standard heels, but the Nimbus, I feel like, has a wider overall midfoot area, and the Atmos is going to be a little bit more standard. So overall, the Nimbus is going to be wide foot throughout, and the Atmos definitely wide foot friendly, but not a snug midfoot, but more of a standard midfoot. Now, from an upper perspective, the Nimbus has an engineered jacquard mesh, which is a very, very comfortable upper, right? And then you have this knit kind of stretch tongue, which is gusseted in there, so it almost feels like a booty style upper, and then that jacquard is just really, really silky smooth. You have a good amount of cushion there in the heel, and again, because that's a knit tongue, it's going to be a very thin tongue. Meanwhile, over on the Atmos, you have a recycled engineered mesh. You have kind of a mid to heavyweight tongue, which is not gusseted, and then a mid-weight cushion heel there, so a lot more cushion there in the heel of the Nimbus when compared to the Atmos. Now the Nimbus, I don't know if it's because of how it locks down in that midfoot area with that knit, which kind of wraps around your foot, or if it is the extra cushion there in the heel, but the Nimbus does feel warmer to me compared to the Atmos. It also is just a lot of space. Like it is a very, very spacious shoe, and the upper feels a little bit bulky, not loose, but a little bit bulky on foot in comparison to the Atmos to me. The Atmos, I feel like, because of that slightly more snug midfoot area, I feel like you can get better overall lockdown. And then the more traditional lacing system with the mid-weight tongue, I just feel like, again, aids that lockdown a little bit more. I do feel like the Nimbus maybe leads in terms of comfort. Again, is a little bit warmer, but not that much, honestly, because the Atmos is still a max cushion upper as well. But between the uppers, I personally give the edge to the Atmos. I just feel like it's a little bit lighter on foot, or at least it feels that way, right? From a midsole perspective, you have the pure gel in the heel, and then the FF Blast Plus throughout the midsole in the Gel Nimbus. And then you have the zip foam, which I actually think both of these foams are EVA based, but you have that zip foam in the Atmos too. Both of them very, very stable. Both of them are going to be high stack, high cushion, but for me personally, I find that the zip foam in the Atmos is it has a lot more give, it's a lot more comfortable underfoot, and the geometry of the shoe, I don't know if it's because it's the 5mm drop versus the 8mm drop, feels a little bit more smooth, where the drop or the midsole of the Gel Nimbus 27 for me felt a little bit clunky, and honestly, like the FF Blast Plus to me feels pretty firm underfoot. There's only a slight weight difference between the shoes. I think it's like a 0.8 ounce difference, which I guess is not that slight, but there, you know, it's not crazy, but the Atmos just feels a lot more light on foot overall, and I do think a big part of that has to do with how the geometries of the shoes are set up. The heel to toe transition of the Atmos just feels a little bit better. The shoe feels a little bit softer and is a little bit more pace versatile. Both of these are going to fit really in that recovery pace, daily miles area, right? You're not going to vary too much from that, but like I don't feel very comfortable doing strides in the Nimbus, but I feel perfectly comfortable doing strides in the Atmos. So as far as pace versatility, I'm going to give the edge to the Atmos, but again, both of them are really made for those daily and recovery miles, if anything. I probably give a slight edge in stability to the Nimbus, but again, both very, very stable. From an outsole perspective, you have the Asics grip rubber on the Nimbus, and then you have just a durable rubber on the Atmos. And I think both of these are going to be fairly equal for the most part. I mean, you can see the traction pattern or coverage is basically the same as well, with just a little bit more exposed foam here on the Atmos on the lateral midfoot. But both of these shoes check the box. There's nothing really special or anything to write home about when it comes to kind of that rubber underfoot or the grip overall for these two shoes. I think it really just gets the job done. Now, as far as my pick between the two, I think this one is pretty straightforward for me. For me, I go Atmos. It's the combination of kind of the heel to toe transition, the slightly softer foam, and slightly livelier foam as well as the slightly reduced weight in comparison to the Gel Nimbus that pushes it over the edge for me between the two. The Gel Nimbus is one of the most loved shoes, I feel like, or maybe most sold shoes at least on the market, and so chances are the Gel Nimbus is outselling the Atmos like crazy, right? That wouldn't be a surprise to myself or I think anyone. But I do think that the Gel Nimbus is going to be more of your traditional max cushion, where the Atmos, that zip foam underfoot, is giving you just a little bit more liveliness. Not so much that you're going to compare this to something like the Aeroglide or the Neo Zen, more so like this still fits the max cushion traditional feel and fit, but it just has a little bit more assistance, a little bit more overall pickup. And in my mind, like I still want the shoe to feel comfortable and kind of ease me into the run, slow me down, but I don't want it to necessarily hold me back entirely. So that's where the Atmos kind of gets the edge. Now, final thoughts between these two. Again, I've said it before, I'll say it again, max cushion recovery day shoes are just not my favorite style of shoe. And so if you're going to design something like this to fit my foot, which I know they're not, but I'm just saying to fit my foot, it's got to be something that is either slightly lighter, we got to have some weight saving somewhere, or we have to have a little bit more liveliness in the midsole. Otherwise, it's just not going to work for me. The Gel Nimbus 27 is a phenomenal shoe. A lot of people love this shoe. It's just not one that really works for my stride and my foot. So anyway, if you watched this far, I sure appreciate you. Let me know in the comments what questions you have about these shoes, as well as what I could be doing better to become a better reviewer for each and every one of you. Now, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, hit that like button, and if you want to support the channel, consider using any of the affiliate links in the description below. If you're in need of any running fuel, use RadDad at checkout at fuelgoods.com. You can buy gels, electrolytes, protein, all your running supplements you can find on fuelgoods.com from any major brand. And then if you are in need of any running tights, my favorite are the Wallaco half tights or distance half tights, but with it getting colder, the Fulton pant and the full tight are definitely getting into my regular fits because, you know, we got to stay warm through marathon training through the winter. So RadDad20 will get you 20% off at checkout at anything Wallaco. So last thing, we'll just wrap up with a question, which is, what is your favorite recovery day shoe? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks, everybody.